I'm sure most of you who watches this video have seen the Amazing Digital Circus, but have you actually ever wondered if the characters in TADC might represent more than just virtual personas? In today's video, I will be diving into a very interesting theory, which is the characters actually represent a mental diagnosis from their real life. So, I will be going over some possible mental diagnoses for each main character and see how they behave in TADC, which would support my theory. So, I'll be going over in this order: Pomni, Jax, Ragatha, Subul, Gangle, and then at last, Kinger. And for your information, I'm not a doctor or anything, I'm a YouTuber, and this is just a theory about the circus members. Let's get on with it. The main character in TADC, Pomni. I believe that Pomni might have anxiety disorder. But why do I believe this? Well, throughout her stay, we have seen Pomni exhibit signs of excessive worry and even fear in various situations, which could potentially indicate high levels of anxiety. Just like when she first arrived in the circus, she was really confused, which I think most of us would be, but it's more about her behavior. If we take a look at Kinger or Jax, I think that they would have been totally fine, not in a sense of not being worried or anything like that, but they probably kept their composure and didn't act like Pomni did. And throughout both episodes that are out right now, episode 1 and 2, we see Pomni sometimes getting those scribbly eyes, which presumably means that she's zoning out and having a potential anxiety attack. The first example is when Jack says that they can't leave the circus.
Can't.
What?
We've been stuck here for years. Old Kinger over there's supposedly been here the longest.
Oh, did someone say something about an insect collection?
That's why he's crazy.
But other than that obvious scribbly thing that she does, she also have a very cautious approach to new scenarios in which we can see when she enters a new adventure. But it's also about the constant seeking of reassurance, which is a very common thing for those who have anxiety disorders. So with Jax being in the circus with them, I honestly think that it just makes everything worse. For example, we even saw in episode 2 when they chased Gomiku, Max and Chad that Jax just threw Pomni out of the moving truck just so that Pomni could be a rich.
Maybe when we catch up to them, we could.
Gotta be assertive, like this.
Hey! Jax!
But from my research and what I've gone through, I definitely think that Pomni might have an anxiety disorder. But this actually leads me into the next character, who is Jax. We have seen Jax wrecking chaos in the circus and even giving the circus members problems. He is just a very rude person and he only thinks of himself. And talking about thinking of himself, well, from the 2 episodes that we have gotten, I theorize that Jax might actually have a narcissistic personality disorder. But why? Well, because Jax displays traits for grandiosity, which means that he's someone who believes in himself to be unique and way better than others. He has not directly said it out loud, but with his actions in the digital circus, we can low-key see that he plays around, and with those actions, he indirectly shows that he's better than others. For example, before unlocking the door to Kaufmo's room in episode 1, we get a slight conversation about him having keys to everyone's room and that he put centipedes in Ragatha's room.
Nah, I've got keys everywhere, and you've all been fine. By the way, I may have left something in your room today, so let me know if you find it. You're not afraid of centipedes, are you?
Jax! That's literally my only fear. Why would you do this?
What? It could be a completely unrelated question. You'll never know until it's too late.
And he even broke Gangle's mask into more pieces.
They broke my comedy mask.
So, Kane, we having a new adventure today for the newbie or what?
It is really just manipulation and even exploitation of others so that he can maintain his quote-unquote self-image and superiority, which just supports my theory about him having those traits of grandiosity, in other words, the narcissistic behavior. But those actions that he does indirectly says that he lacks empathy and even tendency to belittle other characters, or in other words, humans. And I have already shown you with those 2 clips. But a clear sign of this was when he blackmailed Gangle to ram into Gummigoo's truck in episode 2. Because if she didn't ram into the truck, he would say something about a figurine thing that Gangle has a secret about to Ragatha.
Hey, Gangle, you should ram into him.
What?
You should not ram them. Pomni's still on board.
Do it, it'll be epic.
Why are there so many knives back here?
Do it, or I'll tell Ragatha about the figurine thing.
So other than being rude, I have a strong conviction that Jax might have a narcissistic personality disorder. Now, we had that secret that Jax would have told Ragatha, and with that, it leads me to the next character, and that is Ragatha. Throughout just episode 1, we can actually see signs of her potentially having depression, because her being the most optimistic character could actually mean that she's just hiding something. It's just all a facade that she's having, or she's trying to heal her depression with it. So many possibilities. But she has tried to bond with Pomni for 2 days in the digital circus, and we have seen that when Pomni arrived, because Ragatha was the first one to really interact and give Pomni some comfort, even though Pomni got a pretty dark information. I'm talking about not leaving the circus.
What did any of that mean?
Oh, that's just one of Kane's little adventures. They're just something fun to do to, prevent us from going insane.
But is that my only evidence? No. The most noticeable scene about Ragatha having potential depression is actually when she speaks to Pomni about finding a way to leave at the start of everyone's arrival.
Why not try to find a way to leave?
Well, we usually do when we first arrive, but after a while you start to realize that you really can't leave, and constantly chasing an unattainable goal will start driving you a bit crazy. And eventually you get to asking what the point of anything is, and you completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive, and when you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen.
Her facial expression and her choice of words just displays sadness and a slight lack of motivation, which could hint towards some symptoms of depression. But her choice of words also reflects on feelings of hopelessness or even a negative outlook on life. But I will give praise to Ragatha to keep that facade that she has on, because I think it will help her with her depression in the end of TDC. Now let's get into Subal, the always annoyed person with a really strong attitude. This theory that I have for Subal might actually be a bit of a stretch, but anything in TADC is possible. So let's get into it. I believe that Subal might have obsessive compulsive disorder, in other words OCD, and that is pretty weird, but listen to me. Why would I think that Subal have OCD? Because have you noticed why Subal don't want to go on adventures with the circus members? Well, that might be because of her need for order, not always trying new things, but keeping it the way it is, so a repetitive behavior, which could hint towards a suggestion of OCD. But that is something that we will see in upcoming episodes, because we've only gotten 2 episodes and Subal hasn't really got that much screen time yet. But let's get into Gangle, because I believe Gangle to have social anxiety disorder. Most of you probably already knew that I would say that, because there are so many signs in TADC that shows Gangle having social anxiety. One of the very clear scenes is when Jax divides the circus members up in 2 groups, one to rescue Subal and the other one to check on Cosmo. And when Jax pointed at Gangle, she startled, which means that it was unexpected, and even her body language suggests that she was surprised and probably didn't want to socialize that much. But this theory also shows that she might have a fear of being judged or even embarrassed, which could be why she was startled. But her whole body language and her having 2 masks, in my opinion, represents her having social anxiety. But even though she might have it, I believe that she actually still wants to be with the circus members on adventures and just have fun with them, but still kinda being in the back, if you know what I mean. And now the last member, Kinger. Personally, one of my favorites. I believe Kinger to have post-traumatic stress disorder. In other words, PTSD, because throughout the 2 episodes we have seen Kinger experience some flashbacks or even references to a traumatic past, which clearly affects him mentally, and that is why he is how he is in TADC. For example, when the Gloinks took his castle, which would mean that he was in a war and is hiding in a bunker. But very clear signs of him having PTSD is also when he gets easily startled. Because how could he even get startled by Gangle when he literally walked up to her?
My comedy mask is broken again.
Ah! Oh! Gangle, you startled me.
And the last sign that he shows of having PTSD is also that his emotional regulation and his outburst could be related to trauma triggers. But my theory on the circus members having those mental disorders / diagnosis doesn't make them bad characters. It does the opposite, because it really just adds more depth to them, which is a really good thing, because character arcs are the best in my opinion. So TDAC might be addressing mental health awareness, encouraging viewers to empathize with those facing similar challenges. But those were just my theories. Let me know down below what you think about it. Comment your own theories or something you want me to cover in TADC. Thanks for watching, subscribe and click on this video here.